Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. This is my first time doing this, and I've been holding it in since forever. Well, since I got called out of the church, and saints, I should say Kodashim, because this is about learning the ways of the Father, and in reading His Torah every day, something. It's the stream of life. As we all know, who's the Word? Yahusha. He's the Word, right? And He's all the letters of the alphabet. We got our alphabet from the Hebrew, I believe. They call it the Aleph Bet. I'm going to give you a series of screenshots, and if you would, copy them and look them up and get a nice clean copy of them. You need the three to get to the bottom of things, and they all support each other in understanding each of the letters. So today we're going to go through all the Kodesh letters of the Aleph Bet with the meanings and the word pictures. They tell a story, and they tell His story because it is Him. Each and every letter is Yahusha. That's why He's the Aleph Tav. He's the first and last. But here is the, what is it, modern Hebrew, I think it's called. And it's good to learn these the way I did it, because learning a foreign language is tough for someone who's never learned anything but English, right? But I started with, because you read it from right to left, I started right to left with my thumb and went to the other thumb. And Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod. And then again, Kav, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei, Tzadeh, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tau. And there's the 22, and once you have those, then you can really look at these other ones and they begin to come to life. Because, He is the way, the truth, and the life. Now, this is the way I'm being shown, okay? I know there's opinions vary, but this is what He's showing me. It started with Him telling me not to call Him El. Okay. There's lots of reasons, and many of you have already come this far. You know that. But what it led to was this rock in New Mexico. I'm in New Mexico, and down by Los Lunas, the 10 Commandments are written in this the Paleo. I'm calling it the Paleo. This is calling it the Ancient Hebrew alphabet. And these, if you'll notice and study these, you'll see that these sounds associated here. Instead of Aleph, it's A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Za. Well, let me just go ahead and say them all, because they're not, I haven't seen anybody else with this teaching yet. Za. Okay, let's do it again. A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, like the breath. Ua, Za, Ha, Ta, Ia, in front of the yod, there's a slight E. You'll notice it. YAH'KOV. Is that what it is? Ka. Yeah. La, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kua, ra, sha, tha. Notice the aleph and tav is a, tha, like oath, a tha. When I read Hebrew, modern Hebrew, in that, using those tones, I mean, the sound of it it's very tribal, and you just know it's his voice, and it's how he spoke, and it's very soft, and it doesn't have all the hard edges of modern Hebrew. And so, going back to pre-Masoretic figures, now that this also figures in. These are the picto letters, and each letter, we're going to go over these, because each letter holds meaning, and it tells the story. This is really what tells the story. And not all, a lot of these meanings are known, but a lot of them have been, as so many other things, confused and hidden and lied about. But let's just go over them. The aleph means first or great strength, right? But it's ah. And beit, of course, is the house or going in. Gimel is a camel's foot, and it means great strength or travel. And Dalet is a picture of a door, and that's pretty self-explanatory to most of us. We know doors. Now, Hey, I think, is one of the most misunderstood letters. It's actually a man in communion with the Most High, actually, seeing him in their spirit. And then the Vav is the Ua, and it means it's fixed right here. And then the Zayin was a picture of a plow or a sword, depending on what we needed. If we were at war, we needed the sword. If we were at peace, we needed our plow. And the Cha, it's actually a fence. It's a hedge of protection. It means the protected. And then the Ta is it's a basket. It means either food or stuck. Something's caught in the basket, it's stuck. And a lot of times that's what it means to us. And then the Yod, or the Yah, is the right arm. Who's the right arm? We all know. It's our Messiah, Yahusha. And he's at the right arm of the Father. And you put together the Father's name, YAH'KOV, and I'm not getting my finger on this. Sorry, folks, if anybody ever watches this. So, YAH'KOV. And here how it's the breath. It's the only letter that's like that. It's the breath, and it's in the Father's name twice. And to me, this means the strength of the Son of the Most High is fixed in the Most High. And it's always about the Father and Son relationship in his Kodesh language. Okay, and then the Ka, this is actually a hand. It means our work. This is the K, the Ka. And then the Lamed is the shepherd's staff. It means the shepherd of this is. I'm telling you these so when you're reading and trying to put together what the pictures mean in a row, that they'll tell you the story. And this means the shepherd of this is. And then the mem is spirit or water. And a lot of times it really means spirit. It means water an awful lot of times too. But in reading it, if you just say the spirit of this is, or it's from, or this the spirit of this is, and then the na or the nun is the seed, and that's 9 times out of 10 he's talking about us. So I take this personal when there's a nun in the word. And the samach, it's a thrashing instrument, and it's the only letter that has kind of a hiss to it. Samach. It's not like shalom. We're going to get to that, but it's a thrashing instrument for separating wheat from chaff. It's also supported. So it has, as many of these letters do, they have so much depth and meaning that are kind of, in our modern world, it's been obscured because, all of our agricultural needs are taken care of, and all these things have been hidden from us. But if we go back to some of these terms and try to understand them, we can understand his word more deeply, which we all want to do. And the ayin is a very relevant. They're all so relevant. We're going to get into this in a little bit. This is the last letter in Yahusha's name. It's Yod. It's the first 3 letters of the Father, right? The Father's name is in the Son. The Son's name is in the Father. YAH'KOV. And we're going to get into that. And then the pa is a mouth, and it has to do with consuming or speaking, really. And then the tazah, it means the way the Father wants you to go. It's not in a straight line, but it's in his straight line. And you're probably going to make some turns, but it really represents in the word zadik. It's the way he wants us to go. Taza da, to the door. And then we're going to get to the kua now, which is, it became our cue, but it's represented by the sunrise and sunset. And these are Kodesh times. The Father can be found all the time, but this is when he likes to be found. In the morning and in the evening. And that concludes a very good day. We don't always get to stay in Torah all day, but if we keep him foremost on our hearts and minds, well, we get through a lot better. Okay, the resh, or the ra, is a man's thinking. You can see it's there with his brain, and it's really a man's thoughts. It's not so much, I haven't found it to be true, the Most High's thoughts. It's more of a man's thinking, which is usually flawed, self-included. This is the shin, and it's represented by 2 teeth, and it means separated, like we're supposed to be. If we're in Yahusha, he separates us from our I-ness. And I'm going to show you something right now about this I-ness. It's good and bad, right? I mean, if our I is single in him, we're good to go, right? But if we're not, we're divided. We've got 2 minds. And it's really hard, and we're fighting our flesh and trying to get it to walk in the Spirit. And it has a lot to do with that. Now, the enemy, the sons of Baalim, or Baal, you've heard of Baal, it's spelled with the Bet, Ayin, Lamed, which means the house of the eye shepherd. We all know about that, the verses in Isaiah about, I will ascend above the clouds, I will have my throne, I will stand in the place of the Most High. He goes on, 5 or 6 times. about how I is. Now we have iPhones, iPads, and all that. It's really something to look at for us. If it said house of the great shepherd, Ba'ala, we'd be good, right? This plays out everywhere you read it, so that Baal is spelled with this I-N. And many people don't know that, and it's really about this I shepherd and our ego, and surrendering that ego to the spirit and blood of Yahusha, so he can correct us and heal us. And then the Tav is part of his name also, the Aleph and Tav, Atha, Ahaya, Ashara, Ahaya. This is, it means the end, or the last, and it's also the sign. Well, it's even like a signature. And I've got much more to say on this one later. But this is just sort of a basic kind of understanding of the letters and how they would go together. Like, let me see if I can show you something here. Okay, this is how I'm studying, and this is a really great way to study. Is it's sorry if that's not very clear, but I'm sure I'll get better at this if he has me continue. But up top you see the modern Hebrew, right to left, and then the phonetic pronunciation. So, and then the English translation. So you can go in there and pick apart and find the words that the Ruach HaKodesh leads you to, and then start dismantling it and taking it apart and look at each letter and how it goes into the next one. Like the word Zakor, remember Zechariah? Means remember Yah, or remembered of Yah. And Z is the plow, and then there's a couple of ways to spell it. With the Aleph next is the great, and then the K, the Ka, is the work, and then the Vav, the Ua, is the tent peg, and then the Resh is a man's thinking, and you string it together. It says, plow the great word that fastens your thinking. It means remember. So we kind of, if we can look at these, each word in that kind of a light, it definitely leads us into more of his understanding. Plus, I've found that reading from right to left, these words, it just fills you with so much love and light, and it's his word. Each letter is him, and it is him. Each letter is him, and to see that in there, it just cleanses us and washes us and continues to have its mighty way with us. And I think that's it for today. That's kind of the primer, and anything else I'm going to talk about will be concerning these letters and how they go together, and some of the lessons that I've learned along the way doing this and studying like this. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, and Barakah Atah Yahuwah Sabaoth. Alahama Yasharala. Ubarakah HaKodesh Abanayim. Yahusha HaMashiach. Natazaraya. Noseh Chatarata Ha'artaza.